All right, so as we were finishing up feeding, and I've told you guys they always hatch when we're done feeding, but this guy here hatched right before we finished up. Look at him. It's funny because my business partner found more eggs. I went to go grab the tray, and I had literally just grabbed the tray like maybe 10 minutes earlier, and there was no babies for, what was it, those eggs there. There was no baby right there. I have a video of it, no baby. And then a little while later, he found these eggs. These are our first guard eggs. We're not really sure if they're good or not. It's our very first time getting guard eggs. But anyways, I thought I would just take a quick video of how we get our little babies all set up. Look at that little one. This is our very first, or second Lucas baby, but very first clutch. The other one hatched yesterday after the show. And this one decided it was ready. So we started using these for our babies up to juvies when they get into their big cages. So I have this little barrier back here and this barrier up here because I put them onto substrate. All right, I'm gonna pause while I reach over to grab, actually nah. All right, so I got my substrate here. I have multiple bins of substrate. This is the one that I use in my working time. I have the other one in another room filled with isopods. This has isopods too, but not as much. This is the one that I just grab for whenever I'm taking care of baby bins. And this here is our block of cocoa. I need to add water to it. This is a brand new block. Just pour in some water. Guys. And it's gonna need a lot more water, but that's good for now. This thing's very thirsty. All right, so I got my substrate here, my cocoa block, baby gecko, and I got some more stuff around me too. But first, I'm gonna put at least 2 scoops, and I just added water to this, so my scooper is now very dirty. This is kind of a dirty job. All right, I get 1. Actually, I used 3 scoops. Two. And 3. Final scoop. Okay, and then even it all out. This substrate has a lot of different things in it. It has cocoa fiber, it has, what is it, AGB, ABG, I keep mixing up those letters. But it has that mixture that has a lot of stuff in it too. And some moss fibers in there. It does have the big chunks of cocoa. But look how it sticks to you. It's kind of dirty, and I don't like that getting onto my baby geckos. Other breeders might do it differently, but this is why I use the bigger chunks, say top layer here too, because I don't like that sticking onto my babies. So I just grab a chunk here and flatten it all out. It's already better. My hands are getting cleaner just by even touching this stuff. Now, with everything, there is a risk to using this. Crested geckos are not known for their intelligence. And if this moves in just the right way, a gecko might try to eat it. And that would not be good for their health. So if you're going this route, you have to take in that there are pros and cons to this. The pro is that substrate helps you maintain beautiful humidity. The con to it is that it can be harmful if they do try to eat this. We haven't had too many issues with it. I think we've only caught one eating it. We had to help him get it out of his mouth. Oh, that one just looked funky. All right, it's all good. I like this substrate as well because it helps them shed. We have some on paper towels as well as we're trying to we had a different type of enclosures, but now we're running over to make all of these enclosures. So we have some on paper towels as we're trying to get all of these all set up. And I just prefer the substrate so much more than paper towels. There's nothing wrong with paper towels. If you go that route, it's fine. You just have to make sure that you're keeping up on that humidity level so they don't have problems shedding. But I think even just the roughness of this helps them shed better. We see very little shedding issues using this method. Gotta show my leaves to give the babies leaves. Oh, and in this mixture there are spring tails and isopods. So we get them all started off right. I love having bugs. They use these leaves to hide under. Isopods eat them, I think, and that's all good. All right. And we need this. These are going to make a loud noise, so be prepared. All right, I'm gonna try not to make too loud of a noise. I'm gonna set this down for a second. Look at that. Right. So I put towards the bottom. Make sure it's all nice and firm in there. Gecko's not going anywhere. Now, you have to be careful if you're using these for the bigger geckos because I could squeeze in there, and I've heard some bad stories about that. Our geckos move on to their bigger enclosure before this becomes an issue. If you lose a baby gecko in here, look through the pipe. Sometimes if it's cut just slightly off, baby gecko might go in there still, but they're able to go in and out if there's an issue. But the bigger geckos, you need to be careful. This one not staying up very well. So I have my hole hanging right there. There we go. That was better. So I just pop that in. I think it makes it look better having all of that. And then, oh, okay, good. Got my cork. I like adding cork. This piece is a bit bigger than what we normally put in here. But I think if I try to break it in half, it might be too small. Let me see, 1 second. Nah, this piece right here wants to break off easily, but if I break that off, this piece here will do no good. All right, and look, come here, babies. I am so good at making messes, guys. All right, so I put that in before I put my leaves. So I put the cork back there, and then the cork, the little babies are able to hide in there, use that as a cave, and the roughness will help them shed as well. Using all of these, we get very little shedding issues. I mean, it still happen, of course, but it's not a big issue. I just realized I forgot to bring in paper towels, and I need paper towels because this beautiful thing is covered up in egg goop. So before I mess with the babies, before I put the babies in here, I clean all the egg goop off of them. But here we go. So we got some food here. My hands are a bit dirty, so careful. All right, so I do have food ledges, but I just made a whole bunch of new ones. Moving over to these here, they fit perfectly inside, just like that. But I just sanded them all down to make them not choky. And we noticed that if I resin them, then they're easier to clean. I mean, we use them like this just fine, but they're easier to clean when they're resin. So I'm going to hold off putting the food ledges in until I get my little sack over here resined and ready to go. But that's okay. This little one is not even going to eat. It's very unlikely for it to eat. It's just hatched. It's going to shed. It's going to eat a shed. A lot of people don't even put a food dish in there for that first day, but it makes me feel better. Give him that option. And always important, water. All of your geckos, all of your crested geckos should have water with them 24/7. Even if they're just hatched, always let them have that option of water. This here, there we go. will ensure that your gecko stays adequately hydrated. There you go. Now your baby will have no problem drowning or anything like that in this little tiny bowl. They'll be fine. Never had any issues with that. It's been filled up to the top before, and it's been fine. So there's that for that. If the substrate starts drying out a bit, I will add a little bit of water directly into the substrate. People ask me about this all the time. I don't generally spray down the entire cage. In my area, our house is pretty humid as it is where we live. Depends on where you live. If you live out in the desert where it's really dry, you're going to have to spray down your cages. But where I live, it's more, it's a more humid climate. So I don't need to spray down this enclosure to keep it at the right humidity. All I want to do is make sure that this substrate stays adequately moist. I will add a little bit of water. It soaks right on up. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to drop you guys. And that makes it so that this layer here is not wet. I don't want this top layer to be wet. I don't want the baby walking in a wet environment. The layer below it is wet over here. But it's still, this is not going to hurt them. If you have a wet environment, that could be fatal to your crested gecko. You don't want it to be wet. You want it to be humid. And there is a difference in that. But there we go. So this little guy, his cage is, oh, actually, let me do one more thing. I should have done this before I added the food and water dish. I'm going to pull them back out. So, keep track of our babies. I have this little handy dandy system. And where am I at? Oh, there I am. I have cards for various needs. This one is one of mine. Oops, I accidentally grabbed you. Close that up. And this here has just their ID, their gender. I'm not filling that part out because I have no idea what sex this gecko is going to be right now. It's too little. And it's a lily white, so I'll write down lily white notes. And then on the back, I have all of that information. I like having everything in writing just in case something happens online. I still have all that information. I do have my pen. I'm crazy. I like writing my blue pen. So I do have a nice little system. This one here is the second baby that hatched from this clutch. So this one is going to be, my handwriting is going to be atrocious, 2. And its mom's ID is LUG for Lugus. His mom's Lugus. And dad is PL for Pluto. And yesterday, okay, today's the 10th. So write down the date. This is a nice, easy way for us to keep track of the, to make the IDs, I guess. Because there's no way for the IDs to ever match using this system. We have unique couple of letters for the parents up here. We have 1 or 2 because sometimes they hatch on, or usually they do hatch on the same day. So we just put 1 or 2. This is the second one to hatch. On the first one we put down 1 and then the date. And this one is a lily white. Look at him being such a good baby in there though. It's bred by me. That way, if I go to sell this baby, whoever buys them will have all this information too. If I do sell them, I do make 2 cards out though. And I keep them in my little stack, the ones that sold. Look at this one. This one's gone. But I changed the way that I do the cards here and there. I really like this method. Before I was typing them all up. but now I'm writing it all out. It makes it a little bit easier so I don't have to look at my computer and wait for 5 babies. All right, so back to this. We have Lugus, Pluto, and then here, just in case I forget, we have Lugus and Pluto. Now, I know my Lugus Pluto's information, but I just pull out my handy dandy record keeper and me flip to their page. It's a long process. That's Blizzard. That's Pluto's brother, half brother. Oh. Alright, so there's Pluto, there's Dad, and I see that his mother is, I might mispronounce that. I always call her Zaya, but I probably mispronounced that. Oh, produced by geckos. So I write that all down. And then we have Nirvana. That's the grandsire. Alright, and then Lugus is over here. She was produced by Sticky Claws Geckos, and her dam is Pumpkin Eater. So I just like to pull this out often, just to make sure I don't accidentally mess up any of this information. And her dead mom is Pumpkin Eater. And so I realized when I was making these things that I might have bought Lugus from Sticky Claws and Pluto from geckos, but I don't actually know if they bred the parents or if they bought the parents from someplace else. So that's why I'm not writing anything here. I think I'm just gonna, on my next cards, get rid of that. I mean, I don't know. So I don't want to accidentally write down the wrong information, so I just avoid writing produced by. I guess once I start having more generations, then I'll just use that. But for now, I'm leaving it blank. So I got Pumpkin Eater and Slender. Yeah, Slender Man. All right, so the card's all made up. Bring the cage back down. Our enclosure, that sounds nicer. Enclosure. And I am going to put this here, right on the enclosure. Give me 1 second here. You guys can peek inside of there. Look how beautiful that is. Oops. All right. Nope. There we go. All right. So that's in there. And then I just, yeah, we could do it. All right. Let's get it up a little bit. Try to make this somewhat straight. So now I got that there. And I like it too because it has all that information easily to be seen just on the other side. Now, one thing about these enclosures that is kind of funny and helpful at the same time is that the babies, when they're fresh hatched like this, they can often squeeze themselves right up here. I haven't had any issues with that. They just like to hang out in those little, it's a little tiny shelf right there. That is the hatchling's favorite spot to hang out. And it's helpful at the same time because I could tell easily that they are growing when they can no longer fit in those little shells. And I no longer see them up in there. I know for a fact that they are growing well. Oh, I dumped out a little bit of water. Right, that's the cage or enclosure. I am going to go get a paper towel so I could degoop the baby and be right back. All right, so I got our napkins now, and I had to elicit help because I realized I could not clean the baby, hold the camera, and not lose the baby. Now the baby might jump around and go all crazy, and that is normal with crested geckos. They're going to go crazy. So you just have to be quick to catch them. It's not unusual. I caught many baby crested geckos. So I just wet this here. People have different methods of getting them de-gooped and cleaned up. There's a big chance that this one might just fly out of here whenever I open the doors, or might be a little bit more tired, lethargic. Usually I mess with them a little bit and then they just zoom. All right, come on, baby. Oh, that's a pretty little fella. Like I said, we are very happy with how these Luggis babies are turning out. Once it calms down enough, I will move this. And it's gonna jump again. They just start staring a little bit more when they're about to jump. And they don't usually have a place in mind, or at least it doesn't seem like they have a place in mind when they jump. They're just gonna jump. All right, and then I just, see? Nope, 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 come here. And just find the baby. They are very good. Just want to make sure that it's not goopy at all, so that it doesn't get all the substrate caught on it. So give it a minute. I'm watching its tail to see if it's stressed out. I see it wiggling its tail a little bit, so I'm just gonna give it a minute. And then I'll try to get it back out again. They start wiggling their tails when they start feeling stressed as a warning. Okay, leave me alone. I'm about to drop my tails. So when I see that wiggling, I stop. Can you see the baby back there? Mm-hmm. Not looking too stressed. I think I might have gotten, or it got most of the goop off. Baby. Yeah, the head is a little bit shiny. You can see a little bit of goop on the back. I don't know if that's apparent in the video. But, baby. And all of this is very normal behavior, getting them ready to go into their home. But there's no goop on them now, and it's ready to go in. Come back in a little bit. Baby, you're going back in. Going the wrong way. Alright, baby's safely in its home. We're just gonna leave him alone now. Or her. Oh, like I said, other breeders might do it differently. This is just how we've been doing it. Been having a lot of luck with it. It's not exactly even, but that's okay. I'm not gonna mess with him. Make sure this is secured and extra security. So rewatching the last video, I realized I forgot some details. This is the one that hatched yesterday. I don't have the security stuff on there yet, but I need to add it to it. All right, and it does have a nice, beautiful edge. Look at the little baby. This is the one that hatched yesterday, right after the show. Alright, so I've realized two things might have been unclear. The substrate we've used for about 6-7 years since we started hatching out geckos. We've always used substrate. I think it made it sound like that substrate was new to us, but it's actually, we don't usually use paper towels. We had started changing over to this new enclosures for babies. At the same time, we got in a bunch of other geckos from another breeder, and so we had to quickly put together a bunch of enclosures. So about 20 of them right now are on paper towels. It's pretty new to us to have them on paper towels, but I am working on getting them all into substrates. I just have to add this little barrier here to them all. And then the second thing is that I talked about the water and saying this is fine. This here is fine. This is a good fine amount of water in my experience. I haven't heard anything bad about using this, but still do your own research to make sure that you feel that this is safe for your gecko. If you feel safer to having it half full, then you can do that. I just haven't personally had any problems, but I also don't want to say that there's zero risk to it. There's always risks to everything. So this is a smaller container. This is what it is right here, 0.5 ounces. It's a smaller container. It's not big. Please don't fill like something up like this and say, oh, that's fine. My gecko's going to be fine in that. They don't need a swimming pool. They just need a little bit of water in there. But if you feel better having it only halfway full, or if you heard a story of something happening with, smaller containers, then do what you feel is safer for your animal. Just always make sure they have water. A lot of people think that crested geckos can survive off of misting alone, and that is not true. They need to have water in their enclosures. Sure, some people don't add water to the enclosures and their crested gecko is living, but it's not healthy for them. They need the water. What I always do is I just dump out that water right into the substrate. It makes this area here nice and moist, like I was saying before in the video that I was making. But it keeps that top layer dry. It adds the right amount of humidity. And it's just nice and easy. Oh, little baby has disappeared. Oh, it's back here. Let's see. Alrighty. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to respond to this video. You can make a comment right on the video, or you can message me privately on Facebook at Winter Rain Exotics. Thank you very much.